If there's one thing the NFL media wants you to believe, it's that the Patriots stink. They suck. Their roster is irredeemable. It can't be fixed. It can't be solved. And they have way too many holes for them to ever possibly be competitive in 2024. So that's why I'm here. To set the record straight, because do not believe what the NFL media is telling you. Sit back, relax, and listen. I'm here to tell you that the Patriots roster is actually not that bad at all. And it's only a few pieces away from being pretty competitive in short order. So as much as you might listen to the mock drafters, the NFL draft analysts, the people that are telling you for some reason that the Patriots roster is of 2023 Cardinals, 0-16 Browns level bad, please allow me to set that straight, because these people are really very wrong. This roster is not that bad. In fact, looking back at 2023, yeah, this team did not have a good record, but they lost 8 one-score games. Let's just rerun 2023 to 2024. Don't change a single thing. The same team, the same coaches, the same quarterbacks, all the same stuff. The same injuries, which there were a couple massive ones for the Patriots. They literally lost their best defensive player, their best corner, and probably their second best defensive player, and their best receiver in the same season, not to mention multiple offensive linemen throughout the year. Not to mention their starting running back and probably their most explosive player for parts of the year. So yeah, we can rerun everything from 2023, and they wouldn't be as bad as they were in 2023. The season that just happened for the Patriots was as bad as it gets for this team. I honestly believe that even if they reran the same team, it would not get worse in 2024, because this roster is not that bad. I will state it again. It's not that bad. And you want to know why. So before I tell you, Gronk spike the like button, get that YouTube algorithm going, comment below your opinion on the Patriots, and now let's discuss why I believe the Patriots are already underrated for 2024. It's crazy. I feel like I'm going nuts. But is this not a team that had a top 3 to 5 defense in the NFL last year? When you talk about the Patriots draft needs, does anyone bring up a single defensive position within the first hour of the conversation? So if we're talking about a roster that doesn't even need anything on one entire side of the football, how bad can your roster actually be? Guys, think about it for a second. If you have a defense that has young players, up-and-coming talents, really good players at multiple positions, including corner, safety, edge, defensive tackle, all of these positions have red chip or blue chip talents, really good players, Pro Bowl caliber talents. If one side of the ball has that many good players, how could you possibly say this roster is worse than the Commanders? Or worse than the Panthers? Or worse than some of these teams, even the Cardinals? Like, there are teams that have much worse situations from a roster standpoint than the New England Patriots. That's not even close. It's outlandish for people to state this. This team, literally, run it back. If they had a kicker, they win 7 games instead of 4. They lost 8 one-score games. And their defense kept them in every one of those games. And they, at times, had some things go wrong, like a drop pass here or a foot out of bounds there, where they could have beaten some pretty substantial teams in the NFL. They did beat the Bills last year. This team, this roster is pretty much the same. And it's only going to get better. Like, I think it's already gotten better at quarterback. Like, I think Jacoby Brissett, at least his floor is better than Bailey Zappi without a doubt. Like, do people forget that Bailey Zappi, who was cut before last season, played like 5 games at the end of last year? Like, do people forget that? And he's better than Mac Jones' worst. There's no doubt about that. Right? Like, then you talk about, okay, the tight end position is the same with Hunter Henry coming back and Austin Hooper comes in. I mean, Gesicki leaves. He didn't really get to play. Wide receiver, they added KJ Osborne. Kendrick Bourne comes back healthy. You got Demario Douglas in year 2. He looked like a young, promising player. You've got an entirely new offensive scheme that probably will allow these players to flourish more. You've got a running back position that added Antonio Gibson over Ezekiel Elliott. That's an upgrade in my opinion. The defense, again, like, people do not realize how good this defense is. Like, this defense was literally the best run defense in football last year. They were first in yards per attempt in the NFL. They were first in success rate against the run last year. They were top 5 in yards per drive, points per drive, plays per drive, with one of the worst offenses in the league. Without Christian Gonzalez, without Matt Judon. That's nuts. Like, I understand Bill Belichick is gone, but Gerard Mayo is running this defense. Like, it's not going to be that different. It's not going to be night and day. And they just faced a really tough schedule last year. Like, they faced some of the best offenses in football last season. There's no doubt about that. So you can't even say they faced a weak schedule. And you can't say they had great field position because their punting and their kicking was less than ideal. Punting better than kicking. But kicking was a downright disaster. So you think about last year's team, I mean, it could not be worse, especially from an offensive standpoint, especially from a vibes standpoint. And you talk about the players that could return at marquee positions for them, like Kendrick Bourne, like Matt Judon, like Christian Gonzalez. All of a sudden, you're a way better roster just there. They have a deep cornerback group. I mean, I've always loved Jonathan Jones. He's still a very good player, probably one of the most underrated players in the NFL for the past, 7 or 8 years, it feels like. They've got Jabril Peppers, who I don't know if you watched him last year, but he was an unbelievable safety for them last season, making plays left and right, knocking people's heads off left and right. Kyle Duggar returns on a nice contract. He's a there's not many athletes better at the safety position than him. There's young guys like Austin, who I thought looked really good. Alex Austin at the end of last season. And people don't know who he is, but people are sleeping on him. Like, corner is not a need. Marcus Jones comes back. Forgot about him. He's one of the best punt returners in football. Plus, I think he can really play at the nickel position as well. He has all the skills to be able to do that. And New England usually projects that position extremely well. Linebacker last year was maybe the best we've had in terms of that position for a long time. They add Taki, however I say his name, to replace Mac Wilson. Very similar type of players, but Taki is a good mover, a good coverage player, and also fierce against the run. He's one of the favorites of the front office in New England. Tavai has been a breath of fresh air lately. And then Jawan Bentley's a real linebacker. He's a good player. You've got Josh Uche back, who I didn't expect to come back. You've got Keon White in year 2. He's a monster. You got Christian Barmore hitting his peak in his prime. I think he's going to be a top 10 D tackle in the NFL next year. You've got Matt Judon, who is a sack artist, a 10-plus sack guy when he's on the field. Maybe he takes a slight step back in his older age, but still he's a good player. He didn't even play last year for like half the year, if not more. And then you got guys like Dietrich Wise. They signed Armin Watts, who's a good run-defending kind of depth defensive tackle. Devon Godshaw's a good run-defending defensive tackle. The list goes on, man. Like, the defense is stacked. It's loaded. There's a reason they don't have needs on that side of the ball, and they could still add in the draft if they so please. They could still add in free agency in the summer. They still have tons of cap space. If they want to bring in a veteran defensive back, like, I don't know, a reuniting with Stephon Gilmore or something like that, They could do that if they want to. They could add another pass rusher if they want to. Not that they need one. Anthony Jennings is one that I almost forgot, but he was one of the best run-defending edge players in football. I believe he was up there in the top 3 for stops, run stops at the edge position. So you look across this depth chart defensively, and there is no way, shape, or form or possibility that you should be saying that this team is like horrible, like in no condition where they cannot be good. Like, are you serious? Are you serious? What are you looking at? What are you watching? Did you watch this team? I understand, like, you didn't want to watch them last year, but at least do a little bit of homework when you're talking about these teams. At least I try to. Now, the offensive line, the wide receiving group, the quarterback position, yes, they could all use upgrades. Those are the 3 biggest needs in the roster on this team, period. It's not even close. But 3 positions do not make a team terrible, without redemption, irredeemable, all this stuff, like the 0-16 Browns. Like, can we relax? Like, they're already underrated. They've already upgraded pretty much all these positions already. At least marginally. I'm not saying they brought in Tyron Smith at left tackle, Calvin Ridley at wide receiver, and Kirk Cousins at quarterback. I wish they would have. But they didn't do that. But, hey, we've got the draft. We've got the 3rd pick in the draft. Maybe we pick a Drake May at quarterback. That would be great for the future of the quarterback position. Maybe they draft a receiver in the 2nd round. Maybe they get another tackle. Like, they picked up a serviceable tackle from the Pittsburgh Steelers who was a starter for them for a couple years. At least it gives them a solid floor. Like, and then you also have to talk about the change in the scheme, which might also help certain players on the offensive line. Michael Onwenu returns. Some of these younger guards get into year 2 instead of year 1. Hopefully Cole Strange can stay healthy. He's been inconsistent staying on the field. Dave Andrews is still as good as ever. Like, yeah, they need a left tackle. But otherwise on the O-line, like, they're like 1 piece away from being a good offensive line, or at least solid. Maybe not great, but solid enough. Nick Leverett was a really underrated signing. I think he can play. I've seen him play in Tampa many times. And then the receiving core, they've got a bunch of 2s and 3s and 4s. They need a 1, right? Now, you might not get that this year in the draft, but so be it. Like, with an elite defense, which this is, with the quarterback position that can't be any worse, with hopefully a kicker spot that can't be any worse, costing you games, just generally the vibes being up, probably not dealing with as many significant players getting injured this year, there's no way on earth that this team is like without redemption or absolutely terrible. Like, that is ludicrous to me. That is ridiculous. People are on some drugs. Stay off it. So, I just needed to stress this, that I do not understand the narrative of these people that are talking about my team. And I can't stand it. I can't. Stop talking about all the Patriots. They must trade back because their roster sucks. But it doesn't suck. I could literally go through the top 10 teams in the draft and make a fair comparison with the Patriots roster in comparison to the other teams in the top 10. Like, what is the difference other than receiver? Why are the Bears in such a better position than the Patriots? Can somebody explain that to me? Other than receiver, the Patriots defense, I understand the Bears defense played well last year. The Patriots front 7 is night and day better than the Bears front. It's not even close. It's not even comparable. Like, tight ends are about the same. Running backs are about the same. Offensive lines are both kind of lousy. They're about the same. I guess the Bears have younger talent on their offensive line, so there's more hope. But just because they have the first pick, all of a sudden they're like this great team. Like, the Patriots roster is way better than the Commanders roster. Are you kidding me? Come on, guys. Like, seriously, what are we watching? What are we looking at? What's the depth charts here? Seriously? Don't even get me started with the Cardinals. You couldn't even name 2 defensive players on their entire team. Don't even get me started with that. The Patriots roster is better than the Chargers roster. You think I'm wrong? Compare the two. The Patriots roster is better than the Chargers roster. The only difference is that one team has Justin Herbert and one team doesn't. That's the difference. If we're talking about rosters, the Patriots have a better roster than the Chargers. The Giants, the Patriots have a better roster than the Giants. And this is no hesitation in my voice. The Patriots have a better roster than the Giants. The Giants' O-line has been lousy. Their receivers are even worse than the Patriots' receivers. They don't have a running back. Their quarterback also is not very good. Their defense, yeah, I like their D-line. Other than that, it's pretty lousy. They got one linebacker. Congratulations. Do I have to keep going? Do I have to keep going? This is crazy. Am I on drugs? Somebody please tell me. Somebody please let me know. Okay. Don't get me started with the Panthers. The Broncos. Are you kidding me? The Patriots roster is better than the Broncos roster. I'm just going through the teams. Come on. So, I don't know. I don't get it, personally. No, the Patriots don't have to trade back if they don't want to. It's a great possibility. It's a great option to have. But to suggest that it has to happen or that a young quarterback could not come onto this team and have some success, I think is outlandish. What's the big difference between this roster and the 2021 roster with Mac Jones? Other than Josh McDaniels and a better offensive line. There is really no difference. And that team made the playoffs. So I don't know, man. You guys let me know what you think. Gronk, spike the like button, subscribe. Thank you so much for your support on these videos. And I'm going to continue to rant about the NFL. So subscribe. Peace.